Here is a 2024 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring in meteorite gray metallic over black leather. The touring trim is where you're going to get all your bells and whistles on the exterior, interior safety features. EXL will unlock the more powerful engine. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to explain the trims, some pros and cons and comparable rivals. Up front is going to get full LED for the headlights, daytime runnings, and fog lights, in which fog lights is only on the touring trim. When you go to the LX, you will still get LED daytime runnings. The sedan grille will be different. You'll have the honeycomb design with a 3 horizontal bar layout. The Honda badging will also be lifted higher up. The hatch will be more of a flush design and still receiving 6.7 inches of clearance. The EXL starts with the 1.5 liter, which is what we have under here, a turbocharged 4-cylinder producing 180 horsepower with 177 pound-feet of torque paired to a CVT transmission, achieving 30 mpgs for the city, 37 mpgs for the highway. And the touring carries on with the largest wheel, which is gloss black, 18 inches. 17-inch will start us off with, and it will go up to an 18-inch when you're getting into the EXL, which is kind of the sweet spot if you're not wanting to get every single safety feature that's implemented, which includes Honda sensing with adaptive cruise control, collision mitigation, braking, lane departure assist, road departure mitigation, traffic jam assist, blind spot monitoring, front and rear parking sensors in the front windscreen. The A-pillars were pushed back by 2 inches. The European design hatchback style is also implemented on the Accord, which they reduced it by 50 millimeters, and they also reduced the weight to the hatchback on this by 20%, giving a lighter curb weight and making it easier to get into the hatch. And the rear overhang shorter overall length is 4.9 inches shorter than the sedan, but 0.5 inches wider rear track LED taillights. And when you go to this trim, you're getting dual exhaust outlets. And going to comparable rivals like the Toyota Corolla hatchback, this is going to have more cargo, more interior space for the front and the rear because it's a longer vehicle. So it's kind of like a baby brother Accord per se, with more cargo capacity than the Accord. Quick release going into 24.5 cubic feet. The privacy cover starts on the tailgate, and you have this that just opens up, makes it very easy and simple. Underneath the floor gets what everybody likes, a spare tire with your jacks. Split fold the rear bench. You could do it if you're tall like me in the back to increase the cargo to this hatchback. And the design of it is going to have a wide opening, and the clearance is good because it is a little bit lower to the ground. We need to go inside, start it up so you can hear that exhaust now. 8-way power seat adjustment, leather front seats, 4-way power seat adjustment for the passenger. EXL starts the heated and leather front seats. Headroom and leg room. It has a wide footwell. The dashboard is what started all of the transformation of all of Honda's, basically, with the Civic design. So you get the mesh inserts, the gloss black around it, 12 speakers through Bose. That's only found on this trim. Underneath it will be 8 speakers, 7 inches for everybody. Touring, you get the 9-inch with navigation, Honda Link, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. Put it into reverse, and we do not get a 360-degree reverse camera, but we get full trajectory that expands out, and it covers up the whole screen, so I like that off the top. Dual climate control settings, USB 12-volt, wireless charging pad only on this tier. Leather around the shifter, the driving mode select, which has sport, normal, and econ. The gauge cluster is fully reconfigurable. You can also change the display layout or the gauge design. So this is the round. Here's the bar. Round minimal. bar minimal. So really you have two different ways of doing it and just a minimal look. The center is going to be soft to touch, opens up, and you get a deep storage pocket, and this can be altered back and forth. Leather wrap steering wheel, multi-function. The paddle shifts and the stocks. Moonroof starts on the EXL, auto dimming rear view mirror. Door panel is going to have the same material. So everything is everyday materials or more firm plastics. It's going to be soft to touch where it needs to be. The gloss black elements come into play, one touch up and down, labeled only for the front windows and a smaller storage pocket. For the back seats, even though it's a European design, it still has sufficient headroom over 6 foot. Leg space is also good. USB ports is because of the touring trim. Storage behind the passenger side, armrest with cup holders, and the door is not going to be stripped of any of the material that's found in the front. Soft to touch where it needs to be, but a smaller storage pocket that you can fit maybe a medium-sized flask. Sliding into the center, the floor isn't flat. The rails are pushed up enough, so feet space, you'll share a little bit, more so in the butt space area and shoulder space. It does contour inwards, but even sitting into the center, you sit downwards, giving optimal headroom for somebody over 6 foot. 180 horsepower out of this 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged and 177 pound-feet of torque. That's 12 horsepower more than the 2.0 liter, which typically you would hear me say, oh, you don't want to do the 1.5 liter turbocharged, but in this case you do, because this is the more powerful variant compared to a CVT transmission. Right off the bat, some things that I dislike is you're in the touring trim. You're not receiving hydraulic struts for the hood. You're not receiving a power lift gate. You're not receiving power folding side view mirrors, nor ventilated front seats or heated rear seats. I understand you're touching a little bit over $30,000. And the reason why they're doing this is predominantly to push you into the Accord, because you're already at those prices where you will start getting some of these amenities. It just would be nice to have these capabilities in the Civic hatch, because maybe I don't want to have that long of a vehicle and I want more cargo capacity. The styling to this looks a little bit more dynamic. The European design, they did a great job. On the rear, it's a little questionable. Some people might like or dislike, but I overall like the appearance because it gives more visibility from all angles, in which it makes the drive a little bit more safe. We have it in sport mode. We're going to just drive it normal first. If you leave it in sport mode, it's going to stay at a high rev the whole time, whether you're doing any performance or not. That's going to take me to some pros and cons, which you've already heard some of the cons. The pros is you're just a touch over $30,000 and you're getting a lot of value for the vehicle. Bose speakers, sound system, navigation, wireless Apple CarPlay with a wireless charger, dual climate control settings. The back seat is comfortable and has room for 3 people without any problems at all for head or leg room, and you have more cargo capacity than the Accord. So if you don't want the extra length of a vehicle, you can option for this, and it's going to be a little bit smaller than the Civic sedan, which they also implement 2 different grille patterns. I like this too because it gives you kind of 2 different trims, not just because it's a hatch and it's a sedan, but because of the styling elements. The steering is going to be light. You do sit low to the ground. The seat comfort is better than Toyota, but dynamic looks, the Corolla is going to look the best. Turn radius is about 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. The exhaust note will filter in. You're going to expect that anytime you hit 3 RPMs or a little higher. But for the most part, road noise is canceled out. You don't feel any imperfections because they didn't go crazy with the wheel size, but they did a good job with the wheel design. Some other cons about the hatch is Every trim underneath this gets a 7-inch infotainment screen. I already dislike where it's positioned, but if you're going to do a 7-inch, at least integrate it in where the air vents are and put the air vents maybe lower and kind of move this center cluster back a little bit for the wireless charger, or just add a pass-through for the wireless charger, because you have a lot of real estate here in the center. They do a good job at optimizing space to make it feel more open for the front and the back. Just giving a smaller screen, I mean, not even giving us 360-degree reverse camera. I understand we're just a little bit over $30,000, which it is hard to find a hatchback that's fully loaded for these types of prices, because if you go into Mazda, you're going to be spending more, especially if you go to the turbo variant. Now, if you go into the non-turbo, you're still gonna have more performance, but then the rear gets a torsion beam, whereas here, you get a multi-link. So Honda does a better job with the suspension layout than the Mazda. Putting it into Econ, it does make the pedal feel a little bit more heavy. And you also have the brake hold, which is a nice luxury feature when you're at a stoplight. If that's pushed on or activated, you don't have to hold the brake. Adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. The only con here is when you're with the adaptive cruise control and the lane keep assist, it's reading the lines, whereas in Toyota, it's a centering feature. So you may wobble a little bit, and it's gonna go about 0.2 to 0.3 miles before you have to be fully engaged. The EXL will be the sweet spot because you're getting everything opposed to the Honda Link, which is the sat nav, the 9-inch screen, and a few other features, which is the Bose sound system, which is a big upgrade there. So if you're thinking just a few $1,000 difference in price, I would option the Touring. And the color to this pops too. You're getting the upgraded wheels, the exhaust outlets, the more performance engine goes into the EXL. So either of the two is a great alternative to any of the rivals, and the performance that you're getting with the MPGs sets this a little bit more apart. And like I was saying on the exterior, this is the baby brother to the Accord. So if you don't need the length, this is where you need to go. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Ocean Honda for giving us this 2024 Honda Civic Touring Hatchback for our car review.